A huge piece of land sits hidden under the ocean near Antarctica, larger than many countries, yet almost no one talks about it. How can an entire continent-sized landmass sink without becoming common knowledge? The short answer is simple. It vanished slowly, underwater, and science doesn't like easy labels. Now let's uncover what this lost world really is, and why it stays in the shadows. So what exactly is the sunken continent, and where is it hiding? Far out in the southern Indian Ocean, about 1,800 miles from Madagascar and thousands of miles from any major city, lies one of the most remote places on Earth. This region is home to the Kerguelen Islands, a lonely group of windswept rocks owned by France. There are no cities, no airports, no native people, and almost no visitors. The weather is harsh, the seas are rough, and the land looks empty. But here's the shocking part. What you see above the water is only the very top of something enormous. Beneath the waves lies a massive landmass called the Kerguelen Plateau, also known as a sunken or lost continent. So why don't maps show it? The simple reason is this. Most of it is underwater. Huge sections of the plateau sit more than 3,000 to 6,600 feet below sea level. You would need advanced ships, deep-sea tools, and years of research to even begin to see it properly. Because it's hidden, it's easy to forget. But size-wise, this place is no small deal. The Kerguelen Plateau is nearly 3 times the size of Japan. It stretches across a large part of the southern Indian Ocean and sits not too far from Antarctica. Even though only a few islands remain above water today, scientists believe that millions of years ago, much more of this land was dry and alive. So was it always underwater? No, not at all. Between about 100 million and 20 million years ago, large parts of the Kerguelen Plateau were above sea level. Back then, this region likely looked nothing like it does today. Instead of icy winds and empty rock, it may have been covered in thick forests. Scientists believe trees similar to conifers, cypress, and ancient pine-like plants once grew there. The land may have supported small animals, reptiles, and even dinosaurs. Not giant movie-style dinosaurs, but smaller species that could survive on isolated land. However, this was not a peaceful place. Volcanoes were active across the land. Lava flowed often, reshaping the ground again and again. The earth shook, mountains grew. Wind in the surface constantly changed. This land was alive, unstable, and powerful. Some scientists once thought this plateau acted as a land bridge. For a long time, people believed the Kerguelen Plateau connected Antarctica and India, helping animals move between continents. But newer research suggests this idea is probably wrong. Even when the plateau was higher, large parts of the area were still underwater. Any connection would have been broken and unreliable. So if it wasn't a bridge, how did it form? To understand that, we need to go back more than 130 million years, to a time when Earth looked very different. Back then, the planet had a giant supercontinent called Gondwana. It included what would later become Africa, South America, India, Australia, and Antarctica. Over millions of years, this supercontinent slowly broke apart. As the land pulled away from itself, deep forces inside Earth began to shape new features. One of those features was the Kerguelen Plateau. The key player here is something called a hotspot. A hotspot is a place deep inside Earth where extremely hot molten rock rises toward the surface. Think of it like a blowtorch that stays in one spot while the planet's outer crust slowly moves over it. The Kerguelen hotspot stayed active for tens of millions of years. As the seafloor moved across it, lava poured out again and again. Each eruption added new layers of rock. Over time, these layers stacked up, building a huge volcanic plateau on the ocean floor. At its peak, the hotspot may have added 7 to 8 inches of lava every single year. Over millions of years, that adds up to an unbelievable amount of rock. Eventually, this growing pile became tall enough to rise above the ocean's surface. That was the birth of the Kerguelen Plateau as dry land. So what went wrong? Why did it sink? Land doesn't just fall into the ocean overnight. Instead, sinking happens slowly, over millions of years, due to several natural processes working together. First, Earth's outer shell is broken into giant pieces called tectonic plates. These plates float on a softer, hotter layer below. When plates stretch or pull apart, the crust becomes thinner. Thinner crust sits lower. Second, volcanic rock is very heavy. The Kerguelen Plateau was built mostly from basalt, a dense type of rock formed from lava. As more lava piled up, the weight increased. Third, once volcanic activity slowed down, the hot rock beneath the plateau began to cool. When rock cools, it shrinks, and that shrinking caused the land to sink even more. On top of that, sediments from the ocean slowly piled on top like heavy blankets, pushing the crust down further. Over millions of years, all these forces worked together. The land slowly dropped. Seawater moved in. Forests disappeared. Valleys flooded. Mountains became islands. In the end, only the highest peaks remained above water. Those peaks are the Kerguelen Islands and the Heard and McDonald Islands we see today. Now comes an important question. If it's underwater, can it still be called a continent? Surprisingly, yes, kind of. What makes a continent is not whether it is above sea level, but the type of crust underneath it. Earth has two main kinds of crust, continental crust and oceanic crust. Continental crust is thick, light, and very old. It's usually made of granite-like rock and forms landmasses like Africa or Asia. Oceanic crust is thin, heavy, and young. It's mostly basalt and makes up the ocean floor. The Kerguelen Plateau is strange because it doesn't fit neatly into either category. Even though it has a lot of basalt, the crust there is much thicker than normal oceanic crust. It also contains pieces of continental crust left behind when Gondwana broke apart. Because of this, scientists often call it a microcontinent. So why isn't it listed as an official continent? The answer is more about tradition than science. The idea of 7 continents is something humans agreed on long ago. It's simple, easy to teach, and familiar. But Earth is messier than that. If scientists officially labeled the Kerguelen Plateau as a continent, well, they would also have to consider other submerged lands like Zealandia near New Zealand. Zealandia is mostly underwater, but clearly made of continental crust. Then there are other sunken regions like Doggerland, Mauritius, Sunda, and Sahul. Each has its own story. If all of these became continents, the number would grow fast and things would get confusing. So instead, scientists use terms like microcontinent or sunken continent. That choice keeps textbooks simple, but it also keeps places like the Kerguelen Plateau out of the spotlight. And yet, the story isn't over. The Kerguelen hotspot is still active today. Eruptions happen far less often now, but they haven't completely stopped. This makes the region one of the longest-lasting volcanic systems on Earth. Most volcanic hotspots stay active for only a few million years. The Kerguelen system has been going for over 100 million years. That alone makes it special. So why does nobody talk about it? Because it's remote, because it's underwater, because it doesn't fit clean labels, and because humans tend to focus on what they can see. But hidden beneath the waves near Antarctica lies proof that continents can rise, fall, and almost disappear without ever truly going away. The next time someone says Earth has only 7 continents, remember this lost giant beneath the ocean? If you enjoyed uncovering this hidden chapter of our planet, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more incredible stories the world rarely talks about. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.